Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be starting a multi-day wear test. I'm going to be wearing and trying out the Milani Conceal Perfect Blur Out Skin Tint Stick. There's a lot of skin tints out there, and I really love the Milani Conceal Perfect line that everything that I've tried so far. And I've heard good things about this stick, and it's great. Skin tints are great for summertime, being like lighter coverage, lighter wear, all of this stuff. But because I'm so used to wearing a lot of makeup, I want to try, just using primers and the foundation, or do I need to powder a lot? Is that going to come into play? Like my combo skin, all of that. You can see I'm already a little tiny bit oily from the day. It is later in the day, so it's not going to be a super long wear test today, but I'm going to do it multiple days, so we'll see how that works. So today I'm just going to focus and uh, on priming and remembering the words I'm going to say, and applying the foundation in the way that I like. So I got this shipped to me from Walmart, and unfortunately it came broken, so I have to return it. So I'll be, instead of applying it directly from the stick, I will be applying it with either a brush or a sponge. I'm going to try both and see which one I like. This is actually, I'm going to use the Milani Conceal Perfect Blur Out Smoothing Primer in areas where I want a little bit blurring. Um, you do not need a lot of this. I did my first impressions and wear test of this, if you want to see that on my channel. So I'm just going to spread it really thinly between my hands. It does have a slight cooling effect um, when you apply it, which is very nice in the summertime. Oh, I don't like it on my forehead. I forgot about that. I just wiped it off. Um, but I do like it in the areas uh, that I do have very large pores or pock marks from acne, and I find it does really well there. However, I use a MAC primer on my forehead, and I feel like this primer plus the MAC primer on my forehead, I didn't like how shiny my forehead ended up being. I felt like it reduced the effectiveness of the MAC primer. So I'm really just pressing this into my skin. I do feel like this is a really good primer. And I think one of the notes is that that I had for it was I have this spot that like this pore that it just rejects makeup like within like an hour or two, and so it's just like a pinpoint of like my makeup just is like nope. But this actually kept it on. Let me use my little fan. It's very fancy. Fancy. It's bad. It's terrible. It's a terrible joke. Um, I'm going to let that soak into the skin. I think one um, kind of like, not secret, but just kind of thing that I've found, and someone told me, was like letting your primer really soak into your skin, really dry down. Um, I found it actually has made a tremendous difference in the performance of my primers. So if you're finding you're not getting exactly what you need out of your primer, maybe try that and see if that changes anything. Then I'm going to apply a little bit of my MAC primer. This is such a good primer. I'll just never stop talking about it. And no one, I feel like people aren't really getting excited by MAC products um, lately. And I get why they're not really having these big fancy launches that a lot of brands are. They're relying on kind of their laurels, I think, of being just like a good, solid makeup brand. However, I really wish we could see some something really just like exciting come out of Mac, or just at least I don't know, even just a change in advertising or a change in kind of like how they portray their image. You know, if they show like we're still here and we're still really good makeup, we still really have really good makeup, that could make such a difference. So, you know, in a world where like um, brands are coming and going so quickly, I feel like I would hate to see Mac not do well and to go under. Um, I don't know why. That's where my brain went, but yeah. Okay, so now that the primer is dry, I'm just going to apply some of this is just kind of the remnants of part of what I scraped up. And let's start with a beauty blender that is damp. And I'm going to start to spread that around. I want to feel the texture first. Wow, it's drier than I thought. I thought it would be more like balmy, and like a little bit more oily feeling. I felt other foundation sticks that were like that, but no, it definitely has like a drier feeling, which I feel like makes sense with a blurring, a product that claims to blur. So I'm using the color 2, which is the lightest color that they have. It does appear to be on the warmer side, like neutral to warm, and that is a pretty perfect fit, I would say. Um, Definitely lighter coverage. You can still see some of my redness, but actually, did I apply? I mean, right there. I don't know. So I'm just gonna take this. Uh, Now, I have had stick foundations before that I really did like. Well, actually, like, really only one stick foundation that I really liked. Yeah, that does a great job. And it looks very skin like. Has a slight satin finish, but it's not so much so that I'm worried that it feels like a mattifying product, but then it doesn't look ultra like matte immediately. Like there's still some of that kind of natural appearing shine. I'll try just dipping my beauty blender into it and then kind of tapping it on the back of my hand to distribute the color a little bit. Now, this is going to be a lot more sheered than my typical foundation routine. That's kind of the point. I want something that's going to be wearable and, uh, like a little bit more just like day to day friendly makeup for me, so that I don't have to go through the whole rigmarole of going full glam just to, because like for me, like lately I've had to do that level of like, primers, foundation, powder, setting, everything, um, just to keep my makeup on because my combination skin. So I kind of have the line of demarcation here. Let me see if I put enough on my chin. I'm not using much product at all. And I feel like if I just like swiped it on, I wouldn't need to use that much. Like I feel like actually taking kind of scraping from the side is actually a better way to control the product because so this is what it looks like rolled all the way up. I'm showing you the non-broken side. So all the way rolled up, this is where the product ends. Um, and let's see. So it doesn't say how many ounces um, in it right here, but I know it says it on the website. Um, it's it's pretty standard sizing from what I've seen for stick foundations. Um, but I use the Hourglass like vanishing stick, I think it was called. I still have it. It's amazing. It's way too light for me now, and you can see how light my foundation is. But um, I've I've used two different colors, but the only one I have now is too light. So right here, where I have an active breakout, it's not doing a terrible job. Like it's doing a passable job at just like looking like, oh, it's healing. It's not crazy, but it's definitely not covering it fully. Even if I'm gonna take that little spatula, I'm gonna apply it directly onto the breakout so that the color is the most concentrated right there. And then I'm just gonna gently stamp around it. It's not bad. I mean, you could spot conceal if you wanted more than that, but that to me, that's super wearable. It looks so good. It looks really good, and it feels dry enough that it doesn't feel like it's gonna become super greasy looking really fast. But it also feels like if you did have drier skin, I don't think you would feel like this was like sucking the life out of your skin, if that makes sense. Because sometimes you, when you have drier skin, because my skin was dry before I started using, well, it was dehydrated and dry. Um, and then I started using good skincare, and then I started taking tea, and then all my skincare regimen thingies just didn't cut it. They didn't. They tried so hard. Man. Now I expect the brush is gonna use more. I have two brushes that I'm thinking about. I have a flat brush. This is from Sonia Kashuk. This is a great brush, and this is very dense. This one is less dense. This is from Real Techniques. Um, and I might give both a try at different on different parts of my face and just kind of see which one. So you can see immediately that I think puts a lot more coverage down, but I think it'd probably take more product to cover the face. No, I know some people really like using brushes for their foundation. I've never been that person. Um, for several reasons. I've, you know, I feel like I've tried a lot of the tricks that people say have helped them um, with applying foundation. Like, you do this and then you like stipple, so you bring back the skin like texture. But for me, even then, I just never have really loved it as much. It's not terrible. It's just not my favorite technique. Okay. I can't get in that little nose crease. Take another brush. Yeah, gotta put some more here. But let's see what this brush looks like. So it's a little less firm, and yeah, this color is perfect. Now, not many people are lighter than me. There are people who are lighter than me. Also, if you have a different skin undertone, then then you might, and you're really fair, um, this might be a problem because it is quite um, warm toned and yellow. Um, I think the color down is more neutral, but I think 3 is more neutral. But blend the nose area a little bit. Now, I do have drier skin, kind of right in my nose crease, and I am noticing that it's kind of sticking in that spot a little bit. Then use a beauty blender, and that kind of helped diffuse it a little bit. It got some of the excess product off, and then also because this is moist, it added just enough moisture so that it could kind of um, add some moisture to the product and help it blend out a little bit. So the brush wasn't really doing what it needed, the inner corner or this little corner of my nose fold. So just something to keep in mind. And I'm going to see how it performs here and under here with the brush. I really did not have to use that much product. You know, even if you see me going in a couple times, I'm applying it very thinly because I'm applying it with this little spatula. So there's really not much going on my face. So that's great for summer, not feeling like super like cakey. Um, it evens out my skin tone without eliminating like my features. If I had a full beat on, it would look my skin, would I'd kind of be a little bit um, one dimensional, two dimensional, I guess, depending on how you want to view this. But I feel like it's still maintaining some like healthy skin like look to it. That's some good stuff. I feel like I should spot conceal under at first, and then, because my chin always has problems. But it looks good. Now, it hasn't even been like 20 minutes, and it already feels more oily on my cheeks. So, and a little bit on my forehead. So, to have that quick of a change, um, I definitely am gonna need to powder this. I wasn't planning to. If you recall, I was planning on distinctly not powdering it because I wanted to see if I could skip that step somehow, but who was I kidding? So let me get some powder uh, and then we'll kind of see how this wears. Okay, so instead of a setting powder, because I wanted to start with the lightest way that I could wear it and then increase steps and like heaviness, I'm going to use a powder foundation instead of a setting powder, like a translucent setting powder. This is a one size powder, the turn up the base. I'm in the color Fair 3N. I'm not quite sure that this is the exact color for me, but it was the only one that was close enough. And the good thing about powder foundations generally is if you can get close enough, then you can make them work. Um, they're a little bit more forgiving than other liquid foundations and whatnot. Um, if you wanted to go really full coverage with a powder foundation, I still stand by the statement that the Maybelline Super Stay um, is like it's like a full coverage foundation and powder, and I've never seen anything quite like it. It's very impressive. So I'm gonna apply this with a loose brush. I'm not gonna use a, a packing brush like this to really pack on the powder. That's definitely an option for wearing this, but I want to see if I can just use as little product as possible on my face um, to keep this makeup on and looking good. Now, if you are using kind of this kind of technique of where you are applying a pressed powder to any kind of wet surface, cream, liquid, whatever, you might find that if you're dipping back and forth between your face and the powder, that the powder starts to get kind of like glazed over it, and it's really hard to pick up powder. So if that happens, you can just you can kind of gently scratch the top of the powder off. You can use a clean spoolie, or you can use kind of the end of a brush to kind of open that powder back up by exposing, you know, the the product that has not been kind of made contact um, with the liquid. So I don't know if you can see. Nope, you can't see. But this helps to kind of bring the powder back out. Just a tip, because you know I know for me personally, I've definitely been in the place where I'm like, why was my powder not coming back up? And then I was like, oh, because it's like, you know, all my wet products that I use have kind of changed just the top of it. It doesn't make the product bad. It doesn't make any product bad. It doesn't make the technique bad. It's just what happens if you're taking something that has any kind of moisture or oils or anything like that and applying it to the top of the powder. The powder's doing its job by absorbing the oils. So I'm kind of like stamping and then dragging a little bit. So it's just a little bit of powder. This powder does provide coverage. Um, so, um, but not like insane. This is a good touch-up powder. It's a solid powder. I do really like it. And there aren't many products from one size that I've tried that I don't like. I just really can't afford a lot of. They are quite expensive. So I'm gonna see if I can skip the setting spray and the fixing spray that I do sometimes, and see how well that works. So let's give this a test. It is almost 6 p.m. I know it's pretty late to sort of wear a test, but let's see how it goes, and hopefully Milani serves today as it serves so many other days. I wish this stick didn't come and broken. And then also I want to check out the shade range. I can't quite remember. I feel like Milani's usually pretty good, but I want to check to make sure. And then also I'm a little unhappy with they don't like where's number one? Why would you start with number two? Anywho, yeah, let's see how it turns out. Okay, so it is 1 in the morning and I have not touched my face. I haven't uh, gone and really done anything. I've been sitting and been on my crochet channel, live streaming. So I haven't done anything. You can see that I'm quite glistening. Um, uh, that's not a word. Sorry, I'm very tired. Uh, but let's see how the makeup actually holds up. Um, Anywhere that I put a little bit of extra coverage to cover breakouts, there's it's not really covering them at all. And I don't even really know how much coverage there is. It's broken up right here, and really, really kind of everywhere, that I didn't put both primers. It's broken up pretty badly. So I'm gonna just touch my cheek and put my finger on my cheek like that. And you can see a clear outline of where it removed the oil. Um, yeah, it's pretty oily. Um, I'm trying to figure out like where would be a good test to see if the pigment itself is still there. I'm just like, I don't know. Even here where I'm not oily, I still feel more oil than I normally do. It's not nearly as bad as these areas. Oh my gosh, my forehead is like it's like I'm sweating. It's very bad. Um, so when I press into my forehead, yeah, a lot of that pigment comes up. You can start to see some of my minor breakouts on my forehead. So I'm going to say that we did not pass the test today. So tomorrow we'll give it another attempt. Um, Granted, so that's 8 hours. What was it, 5 or was it 6? It's like so 7 or 8 hours. I did not repowder. Powder foundation does not do the same thing as setting powder. Um, so I really tried something that didn't have a whole lot of likelihood to work probably anyways. So that's okay. We'll see how well it works this next time. So yep. So let's see how tomorrow looks. Okay, so today we're on day 2 of the wear test. So we're going to try some different techniques and see if any of that helps. So I'm going to talk. Uh, First, I'm going to do some spot concealing. Still have some breakouts on my chin. I didn't find that even though I wore the makeup for 8 hours and it was quite oily on day 1, I didn't find any additional like significant breakouts. Like the makeup that I wear that does break me out, I will get like a full blown "I'm here" type of breakout. Really, I think just having kind of like my normal kind of reaction to things. Um, my breakouts weren't great before, but the ones that I had before feel a little bit more tender today and feel a little bit more on the edge. So I'm gonna just focus on doing a little spot concealing right now. I might add some concealer over everything later. I'm running out of this desperately. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and pop the top off of this. So I'm going to take the rubber stopper off of this. I would normally not show this, but a lot of people don't know you can do this and get a lot more product out. However, it comes at a price. So a lot of products that have a wiper, meaning that there's a bunch of product in here, and then once you pull out the wand or whatever you're using, it 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 has like the appropriate amount of product on it. When you get very low, you can take the stopper out and it says more product. Some people like to use those little spatulas that get like every last drop, right? But you can just take it off. However, once you take it off, this also affects the ability for you to have a product like laying in your bag or whatever, because it will spill out because this also prevents product from coming up here when it's not supposed to. So there is this rubber piece that I'm getting my thumb under, and then kind of just have to go around and kind of like wiggle it out. Getting tweezers and pulling out helps too. So I'm gonna get this out, and then I'll hopefully have some more product to work with. Okay, so it always takes a little bit longer than I think it will, but now the stopper is off, and you can see that there is quite a bit of product right there on the wand, but not necessarily where you want. That's the wiper's job. So if you're gonna rebuy the product, this is a great like tell of like the timing of when you buy it. Chin is revolting. It's good enough. So yeah, so because this stopper has been removed, stopper wiper, I'm going to use those words interchangeably because it's been removed. You know, don't just be careful with how you store it, otherwise you're gonna make a mess. Um, so um, I'm going to take the brush that I'm going to use later, and I'm going to just kind of stamp. Did not turn my light on. Whoopsies. Now I'm going to take some of my Conceal and Perfect. I'm going to apply it kind of with, the end of a brush because I want to see how it does, kind of basically how I would apply it, directly from the stick because I'm not always going to scrape bits off, there's a chunk. It does have like this like powdery kind of like finish to it. Using the brush kind of remove some of the to apply my foundation, kind of remove some of the spot concealing that I did. So maybe a beauty blender would be a little bit more appropriate. Mm. I'm gonna wet my beauty blender and I'm gonna do the other side with. Okay, so just put a really thin layer. I know it's hard to tell with the screen and everything, but it is a very thin layer. So it might be able to be built up if you want more coverage, or sometimes putting on too little actually makes it last less long, which might be a little counterintuitive. You would think that it would last better when it was thin, but certain foundations I found you need the appropriate amount. Um, Otherwise, it's just going to kind of slide around. Yeah, I have a breakout right here, and that covered it a lot better. Still have quite a bit of redness there. Maybe only in the camera. So, looking at the application sides between the two, and I wish my camera wasn't so shit. Um, but looking at the application sides between the two, I really do think that the brush applies it so much more evenly. And it just looks better. It kind of blends into the skin better. With the Beauty Blender, it's already not settling onto the skin super well. So I'm going to um, kind of take the brush and start stamping a little bit in those same areas that I used the Beauty Blender, hoping that it can kind of revive it. So maybe the water inside the Beauty Blender and the cream formula of the foundation don't quite work together. That's perfectly normal, just something to know. Not everything can be fixed by a beauty blender. Just, I know feels pretty unnatural at this point, how long we've been using beauty blenders. So that helped a little bit. I still have some kind of just not settling into the skin well. It almost just makes my makeup look like it's already breaking down, which I know it's not, probably, unless the water was what did that in the beauty blender. But I know if the beauty blender like 100,000 times, that's fine. Oh my gosh, this is joy turning my skin green. Oh yeah, okay, this isn't the one. I didn't know if I liked it anyway, so it's not a big deal. So there are benefits to using a brush versus using a beauty blender. There are different types of brushes as well, so you could experiment with that. There's this brush that I used yesterday, so just something to consider. But now I'm going to apply my concealer. Is brightening, and again, this one's low, but it's not quite at the top low. I really be blundered for this, but do what we gotta do. Okay. Okay, so now that that's blended in, I have a little bit more coverage in places where I typically need a little bit more coverage. This is not something that we did yesterday. So I just applied it here and here. So, something of note. And now we're gonna powder it with a translucent setting powder. Now, I have the most experience with the Coty Airspun. It does have talc in it. So I know a lot of people do not use it for that reason. There are plenty of translucent setting powders and setting powders that are not that are talc free. For me, I've been having trouble finding one that works for my skin because I'm combo because I get really oily and talc is really good at absorbing oil. So I'm going to use my Airspun. We did not do this step yesterday. If you recall, I used a pressed foundation, a powder foundation, which operates totally different than a setting powder. But I know some people really like having like powder foundation. So I wanted to give that as an option. This is going to be a multi-day wear task because I'm going to see if there's any way I can make this work for me. Okay, so I'm going to kind of, it's hard with these brushes. Take a smaller brush if I wanted to, but I'm too lazy. Get rid of any creases before applying the powder. Get some powder in your eyes so your eyes will water all day long. Into the nose crease. If you have excess product there, you can also take a brush or you can take a Q-tip and lightly remove any excess product that's building up in places like the nose, the crease of the nose, fine lines that you might have, or not so fine lines. If you, you also have this kind of face structure. So if you're finding that your makeup lasts really well in some spots and it doesn't in other spots, you don't need to apply this much powder all over your face. But yesterday when I tried this foundation, I was finding that it was breaking up kind of everywhere. So I'm applying powder everywhere to um see how this lasts. Okie dokie. I'm just gonna walk out like this. So you can bake it a little bit in the. Okay, I paused it at some point, but I don't know when. I put the setting spray, the professional sleeper setter, and then the fixing spray, the one size on till dawn. These have helped me with a lot of foundations, but it really doesn't look good. I really tried kind of everything that I know works for me in so many other cases, but like the makeup looks cakey. It's not settling onto my skin in a smooth way. It's actually settling onto my skin worse than it did yesterday, which is really weird because I use the same primers. Um, so unless it was the concealer combo, but even, I mean, like right here looks, I was trying to play with the lights and I was trying to like show how not great this looks and just super cakey. My breakouts are super noticeable. It's not looking like a good fit for me, which is very sad because I would like a skin tint, and Milani, like that's Well, that's my red dye. I use so many Milani products, especially in the Conceal Perfect product line. So I've just, but anywho, so let's give this some wear time. It's a little bit after started this whole thing 3 p.m. So let's see how this lost, and I'll get back to you soon. Okay, so I gave up on the last attempt and wiped my face with a makeup cleansing wipe. And then I actually just used the e.l.f. Grip Power Grip Primer because I'm using using my favorite primers on foundation that's not working. So in my experience, the Power Grip Primer is decent enough where hopefully I can get an idea of whether or not this would work with the primers that I like that actually do strongly increase um, uh, longevity. So you might be wondering why I have a pink glove on. So again, my the foundation stick came in broken, but the bottom is intact. This makeup, I was thinking, and I was like, well, the design of this makeup is that it is applied with the stick. And so maybe I'm applying too little. And to get kind of an idea of what actually would be applied, ideally for this mechanism, I should apply from the stick. However, I can't apply from the top of the stick because it's 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 pretty bad. So what I'm gonna do is I've rolled the stick all the way up, and then I'm going to use what is attached at the base as my way to apply it. You can see that if you were to just get your stick normally, there would be quite a bit that would be stuck here. So there's still, under where this little ledge is, there's still quite a bit of color. Um, so just in case you do wear it like that. So I'm going to apply, um, I'm not just vibing with it right now. If this were my Hourglass Vanish stick, because that is such a full coverage formula. I don't I would definitely not need this much, but I know that this is a thinner formula. It does feel like I've talked about before, it does feel like a drier formula. Not that the Hourglass is greasy by any means, but it's just a very different texture. So I'm gonna put that back in there. I'm going to try to blend with the brush because again we found the beauty blender is not the best technique for this, but I'm going to do it with my opposite hand because I'm going to keep this glove on just in case, and I'm just going to stamp it out. Really wish I had a better camera. I do apologize. I feel like that's like a very critical part, especially things like complexion, like seeing how well they work, because I you know, how would you know if I wasn't like honest with you um, that this isn't quite like laying right? I'd be like, it looks beautiful, and then it looks actually really terrible in person, but you would be none the wiser because my camera is grainy and pretty disappointing. I did not put any concealer underneath and didn't spot conceal because I didn't like how it interacted with the concealer before. So I'm just gonna skip that. Oh my gosh. right into my eyeball. Skip that part. I'm not obsessed with it. Yeah, I'm not obsessed with it. But let's see how it wears. Let's see if it wears a little bit better now that I have more coverage on. I think adding more would just cake it up more. Um, I think it looks better from the stick than applying it from the spatula. So good to know, especially if this was a product that I did add to my kit. Um, because, usually I would apply something like this after removing some with a spatula. Uh, but it's not the worst, but it's not great. Yeah. So I'm going to apply some setting powder, and then I'm going to um, uh, let it wear. So now we're at 4:15 ish. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so it is about 9 p.m. here, and my foundation looks pretty um not so great. In most of my face, it's not bad. However, any place that I even gently touch my face, the makeup is completely gone. So I have some spots around my nose that it's disappeared, like here. And I know it's kind of hard to see it on the camera, but like right here on my nose, right here on my nose, um, I wasn't wearing glasses or anything, even though that would be higher up. That makeup is completely gone. On my chin, right here, gone. Um, and while it is much less oily than it was yesterday, it just it's not gonna wear throughout the day for me. So I'm gonna just have to say that this foundation did not work for me. And it doesn't seem like if I used my best primers and my best setting sprays, even though I did use a different primer today um, for this test. If I used my best primers, I don't think it would change the results that I'm having, unfortunately. So, not my foundation. I like the consistency and the texture of it when I put it on. It does. Um, yeah, I wanted to like it more. And I feel like I threw everything that I had at it and still not great results, unfortunately. So sometimes that's just how it is, that's life. So yeah, I am not going to be repurchasing this, even though that one was broken. I'm still on the hunt for some skin tints. So if you have any recommendations, feel free to throw them at me. Any drugstore recommendations that I can try, because it'd be cool to find one in the drugstore, a little less expensive. I know that there are plenty of more expensive uh, options, but as always, it's nice to find things in the drugstore if there's the option. But for me, the skin tint did not work. I've seen a lot of people that are really liking it. So maybe just different skin, different primers, whatever works for them. But I can't make this work for me. So unfortunately, Milani, this was a miss for me. I can see how it would lay down differently on different skin types and potentially be a good fit for them. but I'm not. It's not for me, and I wouldn't put it in my kit as a result. So that's just how some wear tests work, and you know, just keep moving. So I'm gonna try probably the Maybelline neck one next, and see how well that works. The Maybelline, I think it's Maybelline Superstay um, one, and see how that works because I know that the Superstay formula tends to work really well, and just all of the Superstay formula tends to work on for longevity. But I was not wearing this that long and still having pretty pretty results in the technical terms. So yeah, I keep on looking at it like it'll just like be different over there. So yeah, so that's the end of my wear test. I was gonna give this some different tries if I saw some ways that like, oh, if I change this or I change this, but that's not. I feel like I threw a lot of stuff at it today, and it still wasn't fabulous. So that's okay. But if you like this foundation, yeah, let me know. Uh, Interested to see what everyone thinks. So, on to the next. I will talk to you later, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye.